Okay, recording is on.
Hi, I'm going to call. This is Lisa Bamberg, president of the Northpoint Charter School Governing Council, and I'm going to call the August 19th Governing Council meeting to order. It is 5:06 p.m. on Wednesday, the 19th. Eileen Johnson, can I get a roll call?
Sure. Lisa Bamberg,
Here?
Anthony Padilla.
Here.
All right, Eileen Johnson here. Adele Dozer, you said is traveling, and May Dylan if possible. And Sarah Frederickson, I can't remember what you said, but she's not present.
Not present currently, but she was expected, so I don't know what happened.
Okay.
Okay, so if everyone would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag of the United States
of America
of America and to the
the
republic
republic for which
it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible, with
with
liberty
liberty
and
and justice for all.
all. Let's see, adoption of the agenda. Does anybody have any comments on today's agenda?
Nope.
Okay, so can I get a motion to adopt the agenda?
This is Anthony. I make a motion to adopt the agenda as it is.
This is Eileen Johnson. I'll make a second to adopt the agenda as it is.
Okay, so can I get a poll to adopt the agenda?
Sure. Lisa Berenberg,
Aye.
Anthony Padilla,
Aye.
Eileen Johnson. Aye.
Let's see, agenda's been adopted. Public comment, there are no members of the public present.
I think we just have to read off what it is that we were seeking public comment on, and then we can move on.
Oh, okay. We were seeking public input on the 26-27 lease assistance application, the capital improvements projects, 26-27 New Mexico Dash annual plan and fall 90-day plan, and the 26-27 attendance improvement plan. There are no members of the public present for comment. Consent agenda. Discussion actions. First, that consists of the minutes of the July 15th meeting and the finance bars. Does anybody have any comments on either the minutes or the bars?
No.
Can I get a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
This is Anthony. I make a motion to adopt the consent agenda as it's presented.
And the second, Eileen Johnson. I'll make a second to adopt the consent agenda.
And can I get a poll to adopt the consent agenda?
Sure. Lisa Berenberg,
Aye.
Anthony Padilla,
Aye.
Eileen Johnson. Aye.
Let's see, there was nothing removed from the consent agenda. And financial management. The finance committee met. Sorry about that. That was all of my questions. It was my first one. And so I had a lot of questions about sort of how it gets run and some basic questions. The biggest thing we talked about was the fact that there was a significant decrease in our cash balance. That was mostly due to the fact that we had a huge outlay of almost $500K to pay the bills for the updates to the bathrooms. Though that money will come back into our account from the grant, the RFRs in the next month or two, and so we will jump back up. So if anybody looked at it and saw that there was a dip, it should come back up in a month or two when we get our reimbursements back. And that was it.
Great.
Did anybody have any other specific questions about the finance packet?
No.
Okay. I think we're on business manager report, Marie.
Good evening, everyone. We did have a successful changeover from the fiscal year. The end of the year cash report was submitted on time. We are now working on moving into full audit mode. So I think I see that that's later on in the agenda. And here we go. School started. We're off and running. So I stand for any questions.
So who's on the audit? I already forgot. Who's on the audit committee? So do we have that covered?
Myself and
Anthony and Adele, right?
Beth, yeah,
Okay.
the committee. We do have the audit committee scheduled for September 7th at noon.
Okay.
It's September 11th.
11th, I'm sorry, 11th.
Yes.
Okay.
It's in my calendar.
Okay. ICIP submission. I don't actually know what ICIP stands for. So
Well, I am learning what ICIP stands for, and I don't think I wrote it down. I think it's Infrastructure Capital Improvement Plan.
okay.
This is a new requirement for schools. We have not previously been required to submit an ICIP project, and effective this fiscal year, we now have to do that as well if we anticipate asking for any legislative funding more than $100,000. And so I have focused our capital improvement plan on the needs of the school. I referenced with the maintenance director, I referenced our facility master plan updates, which I included in your packet so you could see as well. Let me grab mine. Highlights in our facility master plan for priority projects include replacing the HVAC units, looking at replacing the flooring, the intercom system, upgrading the alarm system, replacing the switches and wireless access points, and some parking lot improvements. And then, of course, the student and staff bathrooms. Well, the student and staff bathrooms are complete and they're lovely. You should come to school and check them out. Parking lot was resurfaced in July of 2025. The switches and wireless access points, we have an approved E-rate project for that that will take place this fiscal year. So I don't know exactly when. We need to do it at a time when school is down so that they can take down our internet and replace all those things. So possibly over like Christmas break. The intercom system was installed in March, and we're really enjoying using that to page people throughout the building. And it's much more reliable than the phones that we were using, because sometimes the phone doesn't get hung up properly, and then you can't receive the page. So the intercom system is lovely, and we're actually going to use a little bit of that capital outlay that's left from it to add a couple more speakers for, we don't think the gym coverage is quite loud enough. Which leads us back to the systems projects, and the HVAC units are our biggest priority right now. We've had to invest a fair amount of money in refurbishment and repairs this summer, and well aware that the HVAC units are aging. They've been here at least 20 years since the school has been here. And they're really starting to show it. So the focus of our ICIP project and our intended request for capital outlay assistance is for HVAC replacement. We will be using the balance of the current award that we have that included the intercoms and some HVAC replacement. We'll be using that to replace 2 units next month as soon as the paperwork goes through. I believe, can't hold me to the number, but I believe there are 22 units on top of the building, plus the 5 units in the portables. We're going to be replacing 2 of them, and they run about $17,000 a piece. So it's a big project. We've made the decision to replace 2 of them as soon as we get it approved, rather than do the required repairs to order parts for which are getting more difficult to find on the aging units. It was less expensive to order parts, but given the age of the units, we're going to go ahead with those replacements. And so the ICIP project, I was unable to print a copy of it from the website to share with you, but it puts in the priority for that, who would benefit from it, the expected funding you're asking for. I'll be asking for $400,000 to complete the project. And I don't anticipate that we'll receive that, but that's still what I'm going to ask for. One potential bonus of it is there's a grant matching feature of the new ICIP infrastructure. And I don't have enough detail to speak intelligently about it yet, but I will apply for any grant matching that's available there. Could be eligible for additional funding through other grants that I wouldn't be aware of. So that's I gave you more detail because it's new too. And anytime we want to request capital outlay, we'll have to do this. And it's also suggested as just a good management plan. You can prioritize your projects and keep track of them. Although they said, given the timeline for this year's funding, to only put in expected projects for the coming fiscal year. So that's the only project that I've entered for now. Okay. So any questions about that or how it works?
So $17,000 times 25 units, which would be, you got 27 units, but you said you're going to try to get 2 done underneath of leftover funds. What comes to 425, not 400. So
and I have another award that I received last year for $25,000 specific to HVAC.
Okay. And then you said, so can you go simultaneously with grants and this, or do you have to wait on the grants until you see how much the state gets us and then just do the difference?
Well, that I don't know yet because this whole project entry is new and the system is new. I'm going to apply for the grant matching. I don't know how quickly grants might come in. For the legislative portion, this would be funding I'm asking for at the coming legislative session in January. So these are really FY28 projects. We wouldn't receive funding for it until probably this time next year. And that's assuming any legislators fund our project.
So the New Mexico PED or even New Mexico Charter Schools Association isn't coming in as a big thing. Each individual school is going to request this by individually?
Yes,
like
every public entity can request it.
Seems like an awful lot of legislative work for a 30-day session.
It does, doesn't it?
Huh. And they think this is more efficient, or why did they do this?
Well, this is something that has been in place, I understand, for other public entities that they had to use this process. Schools have always been exempted from the ICIP entry. And there was legislation, I don't recall the bill number, but there was legislation this past year that now made that schools also have to enter an ICIP project. There was a big hubbub about it, and the deadline was originally July 1st, but given that it was new for schools, they extended the school deadline till August 28th. So I have our project entered. I've got one more section on the grants to review before I can finalize it. And of course, I needed board approval before I finalize the project. You can make amendments to the project after it's been submitted. But minor amendments, like you can't switch from asking for HVAC to asking for flooring. But you can say, oh, you know what, I needed actually this much money, or I need to switch it from this category to that category. You can make minor changes.
Is there a political way of approaching this, meaning we would get to the representative who is our representative for, I don't even know who it is, for where our
Yes.
school is located, and we would make sure that they became an advocate for us? Or is that not,
Yes.
there is a political portion of this? Okay.
Absolutely. And the school does work with a lobbyist and always
Okay.
has, that helps us get our projects in front of the legislators.
Okay.
I send personalized requests to the legislators. I invite them out for tours and to come and see the facility and how those dollars would be put to work. So yes, it's very political.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that it seemed like it would be for me, right? Because we're not going to win on 145 kids, but we could win based on, our getting backing from our legislature.
They're really nice. I can't wait for you to meet the legislative people.
Okay.
Oh, I have met Miss Thompson, who's
Oh,
the
okay.
one specifically for our district. I've been to her town halls before and met her, and she's provided some funding. I have a list of legislators that have provided us funding, and like I said, they all get personalized requests and they get personalized thank you letters. And our lobbyists do a good job of trying to get our projects in front of the legislators because, as
That's
I
what I was thinking of,
understand
our
it,
lobbyists.
yeah, say they have
Um,
for ease, let's say each legislator has $1 million that they can divide
Mhm.
up, but they probably have $5 million in requests.
mhm.
So it's very competitive.
Right. Okay.
So if you don't have questions, then I would ask for approval for the ICIP project submission.
This is Anthony. I make a motion to approve the ICIP submissions.
This is Eileen. I second the ICAP submission.
Can I get a vote on approval of the ICIP submission?
Lisa Berenberg,
Aye.
Anthony Padilla,
Aye.
Eileen Johnson. Aye.
All right, that's so next is lease assistance application. So,
And Marie, would you like to talk about that?
I can. I submitted the lease assistance was due last Friday, August the 14th. Everybody signed where they needed to sign for their conflict of interest, and there's several pages that are required to submit, and those submissions were made on the 13th. So at this time, they give a portion of what the actual lease is. Um, it's not the full assistance, but they did give a um, estimate based on your numbers, and um, so it looks like it'll be close to what it was this year. Is there anything anyone else needs to know, or do you have any questions about that?
so
Close
okay.
to less or close to more?
Uh, it's close to what we received last year, just a little bit less because the enrollment was down just a
Down.
little bit, not much.
Okay.
So is it discussion action, or since it was already submitted last Friday, we're done, right? We don't, there's no real action here, right? We don't have to vote on anything.
I wasn't under the impression that it needed to be voted on, but Lisa may have a different idea.
Did
I
we vote on it last month?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think it
I
was
don't
all signed.
remember.
I don't
Yeah.
think we voted on the application submission, Normally we put this in with the title applications, and I went back and looked at the spring agendas, because we normally have the board approve us to submit the title applications and the lease assistance application on behalf of the school all in one package. And I believe I left off lease assistance when we did it before. I found the ones for the title applications, but not lease assistance. I honestly, I don't know if it requires board approval, but we've always had board approval. So even though it has been fully submitted and everyone's signed, it could be a formality to show that the board approves the submission, if you're comfortable doing so.
This is
I can,
Anthony. I make a motion to approve the lease assistance application as it was presented.
Eileen, I second the motion.
so can I have a vote on the lease assistance application as presented? Approval for the lease assistance application as presented.
Yep, Lisa Berenberg,
Aye.
Anthony Padilla,
Aye.
Eileen Johnson, aye. Lisa Mora, would you mind moving that to the July meeting?
Yes,
So that
I
we
already
remember
made
to do it
note.
earlier. Oh, good. All
Yes,
right.
thank you.
Thanks. Yeah.
Marie, that ends the finance portion if you would like to drop off.
I appreciate it. Thank you all. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Right.
Bye.
Bye.
Um, Lisa, would you like me to move
Oh,
on to the
yes.
executive?
Yes, let's go into the academic performance section of this with the executive director report.
Okay, thank you. Well, enrollment, I can actually give you enrollment numbers now since school has started. As of today, we are at 142 with another enrollment currently in process. As I've mentioned before, this time of year is very volatile with students transferring here and there. In fact, 6 students have withdrawn since the school year began 2 weeks ago. 2 of them accepted a transfer to a larger APS high school. One withdrew to pursue a GED. One transferred to the E-Academy for fully online experience. One simply never attended, never did show up after they registered, and one moved to Las Cruces.
Oh,
So,
Are any of those new students?
um,
I was thinking like
one,
maybe they didn't know, you do such a good job of making
three
them
of
understand what they're coming into.
3 of those 6 were new students.
mhm.
And then I also noted that we had 18 students that were eligible to return, like, I mean, they didn't graduate, so they could return this year, that did not. And for tracking, because we want to know why they didn't return, one moved out of state to Texas. 3 pursued a GED or a re-engagement high school, and all 3 were students that were seriously behind in credits when they enrolled with us, and they decided to pursue something else. 7 of the students transferred to a school that was closer to home. For that, sometimes the student moves and now it's too far to bring them. Sometimes they've already been far away, and the reality of the drive every day wasn't something they wanted to continue. So 7 moved, and that was the reason they gave, as they were transferring to something closer to their home. And then 7 were students that transferred to a more in-person, different style program. After being here and trying it, they decided that that style of learning wasn't the best fit for them. So while that's still a large number to lose, I like looking at the detail of why they left so that we can understand it.
Yeah.
And all of those reasons are perfectly legitimate reasons. So the number today is 142 with the 1 in process, but we are continuing to do tours. And we're still getting applications come in through the website. It normally settles down in September-ish. About a month from now, it'll really settle down. Until then, I do still expect some movement and hopefully several new enrollments.
Mhm.
Okay. Any questions about enrollment? Okay. Recruitment. Google Ads continue to be our primary investment, and it directs people to the website. And so keeping that updated is essential. And as we talked about briefly last month, we have some updates that we'll be working with McKee to make that will include a stories page that will highlight the student of the month. And it will eventually expand to add maybe some staff highlights, family highlights, alumni successes. It can even highlight some GC members, and it will provide more interest for families that are coming and checking out the website. Another one that we talked about last month that we'll be adding is staff bios. We already have a staff directory page, and McKee has noted that it's one of the top 10 landing pages on the website, which shows that those that are browsing the school are wanting to check out who's going to be teaching their kid. And so adding some staff bios would show prospective parents and give them a much more personal look at who the staff is and how they might relate to their student. And they'll also be updating the language there about our unique sponsor system and the student-teacher relationship and what that looks like in our type of environment. And the last is a little bit of some activities page updates to keep everything cohesive and current. So I did speak briefly with the finance committee about this. We went with the lower McKee retainer this year, which means that these have to be paid on a project basis rather than just included in our engagement. And we're going to do that now, and it would still keep us in the positive on making that choice, even with paying with the project engagements. But we'll continue to keep an eye on the project cost and the overall pulse and temperature of having to weigh every decision rather than just knowing that those things are covered and taken care of. But for now, we're going to keep going like we are. So questions about recruitment then? No? Okay. Then on to school business. You noticed one of the bars was for the kitchen grant, and I believe we've spoken about that before. We determined that we didn't have the meal program that was extensive enough to warrant a full kitchen makeover, nor would we be able to staff it. So we're going to continue with vendor delivered meals, but we will be using a portion of the kitchen grant to purchase a food warmer. We already share the refrigerator with the other school, and we've talked and decided it would make more sense to buy a warmer as well, and we'll share both of those things. Some new serving supplies, some new microwaves, and then Miss Berenberg actually suggested, I guess you got the coolest new thing at Sandia, which is a hardwired, plumbed in station that produces cold water and hot water. If we could add something like that in the kitchen area, kids that bring like the cup of noodles could potentially just fill their cup of noodles from that station rather than have to get water and then microwave it and then spill it. So it's something I'm going to check into. We'll spend only a small portion of that kitchen grant, and then the rest of it will revert to the state where they will be able to issue it to another school for a larger renovation. Okay. HVAC repairs. We already kind of talked about that with the ICIP. So I had it on here, but we'll be replacing 2 of the units. We've made several repairs already this summer that were able to come from SB 9 or HB 33 funds. And then we'll be making those replacements with the capital outlay funds and working through as more repairs come up. We still have some existing capital outlay that we can tap into. And then, of course, that will be the large request that we'll take to the legislature this year.
So I've been thinking about the legislature thing. You have to remember that HVAC isn't just serving the keeping 145 200 people cool. Well, it's really more than that because we share the HVAC with the other school, but it also has to do with efficiency and pollution, and it will lower our I remember when we got our 25-year old one replaced in my home. I could not believe it, and how much our bills dropped. I mean, just for having a much more efficient one. So given that ours are 20 plus years, there's sort of altruistic reasons above and beyond. You're keeping the people inside that comfortable. So I want to make sure
Yes.
that that sort of all goes in our argument. Yeah,
It
about.
has been added, Miss
Okay,
Berry.
perfect. Yeah,
Um,
that there's
And
a
it
lot of
also
other
expands
reasons.
out to the community involvement as well, because it's not just the students in the building and the staff in the building. It's the families that come in, it's the other schools that come in for events, it's the community groups that use the school in off hours, because we do
Yeah.
have some community groups that come in. It's the energy savings, it's the environment, because one of the reasons repairs are so high is our units are outdated, and I'm not going to get all the terms right, but I think we have R22, which is very expensive to replace. And there's a whole process how they recover refrigerant and things like that. And this one is outdated and very expensive. So all of those reasons have been included in our
Okay.
project request.
Good. Good. Okay.
Yes. Last is the NSLP is National School Lunch Program.
Oh.
Last year was our first year doing meal service, and we were actually being served through Renaissance Academy. But we did qualify for CEP status, which is, I'm trying to think the P, it's community eligibility. I think it's the community eligibility program. Um, Essentially, every student already eats for free in New Mexico.
Mhm.
But having community eligibility status means that we no longer have to collect lunch forms from our family and determine their status as free, paid, or reduced. While there was still no cost to students, it changed our reimbursement method. And with community eligibility, every student is just qualified as free, and we don't have to collect lunch forms from families, and we can report differently, which streamlines our processes considerably. So it's good for 4 years, and I'm glad to report that we were approved for that.
Good.
Approved again, right?
Well, for
Or is
the
this our first one?
community eligibility is new, so we just
Okay.
received approval for that. Last year, the
Okay.
claims still had to be tracked according to lunch status, and this
Okay.
year it does not have to be tracked that way. We just turned in a number of
Okay.
meals served.
Mhm.
So it will make it much easier to track meals and streamline the reimbursement process.
So,
That's all I have tonight. Any questions for me?
Nope.
Okay.
So let's see, we're going to governance, governing council development. I think, well, we're all three returning, and then we have one more returning, Adele. And I'm going to put a plug in to go to the New Mexico Association of Charter Schools, or whatever it's called, their event. I can't remember what it's called.
It's the Public Charter Schools of New Mexico conference that's held in December.
In December. It was definitely the way more pleasurable way to get your 5 hours of training. And so I believe we chatted about this the last time. It was December the 3rd and 4th, I think, that first Thursday, Friday in December is when it is. I'll put a plug in for that. Otherwise, I don't know anything else. I assume we're still all at 0. And then, Lisa, is there a limit to the number of people? Because I know you paid for Anthony and I to go last year. Is there a limit to how much we can pay? Or how
No,
many we can send?
no, we can send, yes, it is. I'm double checking the date. It is the 3rd and the 4th of December.
Mm-hmm.
And last year, I know that governing council members you're welcome to attend both days, but you can also attend just one day and get all
Right.
of your training hours on just the one day if you prefer.
Yeah.
And the school does have funding, I mean, it comes from operational, but we can absolutely pay for you to attend. It's also a great opportunity to meet other charter school governance council members, and they have vendor stations and workshops, and it's a really interesting event. I'll be there.
And it's up at Tamaya every year. It's at Tamaya. Yeah. Yeah.
It has been. I don't actually, I have the dates. I don't have the location, but I would
Okay.
expect it to be at Tamaya again.
Yeah.
So you have that option, or of course you can do the Zoom sessions through public charter schools, or the charter school division. But they haven't, to my knowledge, haven't released a schedule yet. I don't have a copy of a training
Okay.
schedule yet. And then for the finance training,
I see that.
the board typically likes to have that specific one from K-12.
Mhm.
We talked about it last time, and we did schedule that to follow the regular meeting on October 21st. So it's a 1 hour training, and we would hold the regular meeting and then turn off the recording and go right into the finance training. And that way everybody would get their first hour there.
Yep.
And then, of course, any new members we bring on board, as you talk to your friends about joining the governing council, be sure to tell them they have to get 10 hours the first year.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, nobody has any yet. And we are can adjourn, I believe, unless somebody has any other items they'd like on the record. Governing council member comments, okay. And the next regular scheduled meeting is 16 September at 5 p.m. And with nothing else, I will call this meeting adjourned at 5:42 p.m.
Let me
Thank
stop the
you.
recording.
I guess I better bring my Excel spreadsheet up.